Yeah.
What up? What up? What up? Y'all already know what it is. It's your boys, Brick City's finest, JD and Dave, back with another country. Right now, we doing kind of a review slash reaction. Y'all know how we get down. She-Hulk, attorney at law. Dave, what's good with you, my bro?
Was cracking fool? We over here at no another country. New name. I'm just fucking with you. Nah, yeah, man, we good, man. I watched that joint this morning because I get on it before everybody else, before motherfuckers get to get online and start talking shit, telling me
Right,
shit I ain't want to know.
right.
But yeah, She-Hulk episode 2.
Recap
I
what you
like
thought about episode 1.
episode 1 was cool. It was a origin story without being an origin story. Again, I saw it as like a nice little framing kind of a, I won't say a ripoff, but an homage to Deadpool, especially since she's the fourth wall breaker. But they started with a joint with the present day. Then the rest of it was a flashback slash origin. Then the end was snapping back in and going with the rest of it. This one was a lot more straightforward. Exposition wise, I feel like this one told a lot more of the story that we are going to see for the rest
You
of the
mean this
season.
episode?
That that's what I meant. Yeah. This episode feels more like it was going to tell. It's starting us off on the journey of the character this season. But the
Uh,
first one I
when,
liked. This one I liked a lot more.
when you said that to me, like after I watched this one, I could see how you could say like they
Yeah,
kind of interchangeable. I could see that. I could see how
yeah,
like I could have watched this one first and
hmm
been just the same. Everybody would have been the same, pretty much felt the same way if
yeah,
they would have showed this one first as they would have showed the second one first. I think, for good and for bad, I think,
yeah,
but it would have, yeah, I think they pretty much felt the same way. So at least I can agree with you. I think there is definitely a consistency so far with the
yeah,
show.
for sure.
I give them that.
Yeah,
I definitely give
yeah,
them that 100%. All right, so my impressions of the first episode, like number one, I'm like the biggest Hulk fan. 377, my favorite issue when he became Professor Hulk. I know a lot about the Hulk. I shouldn't even know. Hulk, Deadpool, those are my two favorite characters. And by extension, She-Hulk is one of my favorite characters. Also, I know way more about Jennifer Walters than I need to know. Her story, everything else, but I also understand that the book is separate from the movie universe. Cool.
yeah,
I got to get with that. I already understood that a while ago. So with that being said, when I look at the shows and whatever adjustments they make, uh, with the lore of the character, dialogue aside, whatever else aside, with the lore of the character, I can always get with that. You know what I'm saying? It's like skipping Demon in a Bottle with Iron Man.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I
They
got
referenced it. They
I
brushed
gotta let it
over it.
go. You know what I'm
They
saying?
brushed over in Iron Man 2, but that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta let it go. So
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I can make those relations. So first episode, like I said, I'm a big Hulk fan. I don't care what it is. Anybody could talk smack about the Ang Lee Hulk. You could talk smack about the Norton Hulk. You could talk smack about any Hulk. I like all the Hulks. I don't care what nobody say. That's how I'm at. So first and foremost, I'm gonna like this show more regardless, just because it's Hulk. Period. She Hulk, Hulk, whatever it is. I'm with it because it's pushing that law forward.
I
That,
always have more of a vested interest in Hulk because of you.
well,
I know as much about him as I do because of you. So like,
and the thing is, the nerdiest thing I could say about it is that people like me, I mean, literally like me, that's the first time we was introduced to psychology. We learned about the id, the ego, and the super ego through figuring out what the Hulk was going
yeah,
through.
I
You
can say
know,
that. I mean, like
so
I know when I remember we was learning about that in whatever course it was in class that they started mentioning that. That was the first example I ever thought
I
of.
read that. I read that first in the comic book before I even heard it in the school. Like that's why I was
Mine was the
saying it.
first. Mine was the first. The first time I
Yeah,
heard about the concept of the ego and the super id, it was like, oh, you mean like Bruce Banner and the Hulk? Yeah, that was like immediate. I mean,
yeah.
technically apply it to all the superheroes, but
Of course, yeah,
especially
yeah,
more
yeah. But
with
he's
that
like
one and
he's the
that.
literal metaphor
Yeah,
for it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
blatant.
100%.
So
Yeah,
that's what was always with me, because me being like, short dude, you gotta try to kind of suppress yourself and figure out what you're doing. And then when your rage do come out, you like, who the hell was that? So it was always this thing. So I have like I said, I got a real affinity for the character of the
right.
Hulk. So when I look at the shows and everything, I look at it from that perspective. And like I said, I could be super as forgiving as I can be critical, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I done put mad stuff to the side, as much stuff as I done criticized, but I want it
yeah,
all. So with that being said, first episode I thought was, fine. You know what I'm saying? I could get over like the little quirky stuff that people is like, oh well, yeah, it's this, is that, the little bit of misandry or whatever it is, fine, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even worried about it. But the show is on, it's going forward, it's pushing the story forward. And like we said before, I took this long diatribe, it has a consistency to it.
yeah,
So that, I
yeah.
think that was the most important thing. So
Um,
to pass
I,
it to you, let's start from the beginning. Go ahead and we could kick it from the beginning. When this episode pretty much started, it started from, hold up.
basically it picked up from
Well,
the end of
let's
the
start from the
last one.
recap. Let's start from the recap.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they just recapped the original episode with her in the courtroom, then the accident where she got infected, then a brief montage of the training with her and Hulk, and then you snap back into her fighting Titania for the first time.
Right.
This one picks up with
But the recap was sus, but we can go ahead past that. But go
yeah,
ahead.
the this one picks up with
Recap was mad sus, but go ahead.
the this one picked up with them kind of telling you Titania is a social media influencer, and then Jen gets fired pretty much on behalf of how much sensationalism, basically her transforming. Even though she fought to save, that was one of the funnier jokes when she's like, "Yo, worse, I'll just go supposed to let the
Yeah.
jury get hit
Hold,
by a desk."
hold up, hold up,
Like,
hold up. Because I got a couple bones to pick. Literal bones. Like, so, and they not that bad. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to really get into it because in the recap, right? In the recap, they show cuts obviously from the previous episode, right? And it's
mhm.
stuff that we'd be like, all right, whatever, but when you show people stuff again, you be like, all right, what was that? So I don't know why they chose to show that shot of. I mean, I guess they had to because she said when Titania said, "Who are you?" and she said, "I'm Jennifer Walters, attorney at law." But why
Yeah.
does she have that weird look off to the side when she says that? Did you notice that? Like
Cool.
instead of looking Jennifer, instead of looking at Titania, the person that's threatening her life right now, she says Jennifer Walters. And she look, and it's like this look off to the side, like I don't know, like that bothered me the first time I watched it. I just wanted to point that out because it was a small thing. Then hold up, because then after that, I got when they did the court stencil pictures during the
Yeah.
opening.
Yeah.
Some of those was like, if you look at some of those pictures, they were still goofing on motherfuckers, like excuse my language, goofing on dudes. You know what I'm
We
saying?
we supposed to
I'm
talk
just
like
trying
this
to get
on
this
the
out the way, bro, because like I said, I'm just trying to say, like, because when I bring this up later and you be like, I don't want to have to, go back in the examples and be like, oh, well, in the beginning, this is what I was talking about. So I'm just saying, and yeah, the pictures the dog before she was tried. Oh, and then right in the beginning, right when the trial happened, you know what I'm talking about, and homeboy came up. All right, so we get so anyway. All I'm saying is that what I was asking before was like, was it something that even sensitive as people going to be able to complain about, like, oh, they talking about us? That's not that we take it that way, but what somebody might be able to take, like, oh, they dogging on dudes again, they dogging on us again. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I felt threatened. I don't care. But what I'm saying is, like, what could somebody take as like, oh, they getting back at us again? Because this is one of the main central themes of the show right now. Like, it really is.
I don't know. I was talking about the show as it happened, as I remember it. I saw it like 12 hours ago. It was super early. I don't be up looking for the attacks on the patriarchy or some shit at that time.
Okay,
I
I'm
don't
just
know,
we
man.
we only
I
in the
was just talking
beginning.
about how the shit was happening, and just like my own personal thoughts of it. It was a little faster paced. I didn't really see anything that was specifically out of the ordinary because I barely watched the recap because I just seen that episode. So I didn't even want to watch that shit. I kind of like
But
skimmed
then I
through it.
when I went to the intro, I'm talking about the intro, the pictures that they specifically drew in the
I
intro.
remember, but those are at the end, ain't they?
No, this time they came in the beginning, like they did the pictures, different pictures in the beginning. It was different pictures this time of her
Mm,
being more She-Hulk,
yeah,
lifting up the fridge,
yeah,
doing dope stuff.
I kind
And
of
then,
remember that.
you know what I'm saying? So it was good pictures, but like I said, like whatever, that's not here nor there. So then the show starts, and that's all I'm saying. Then we get to the whole thing where her and her homegirl, who is her encourager, her
She's her
paralegal encourager.
paralegal. She's her best friend.
Yes.
She's yeah.
And they get to the door of
She's
the
her
bar,
cheerleader.
and people are like, She-Hulk, She-Hulk, and she
Yeah,
got like a
they
kind of
gassed
a,
about her, and
she don't want to
they
jump in on it.
that's where she first kind of gets the name, and she hates it, of course.
Yes. I think
Then
I
from
think that was actually a good parallel to how Hulk might not want to be called Smart Hulk, but that's just what people call me. Like, what you want to do? Like,
I thought that was one of the better jokes in the first episode when he was like, people call me Smart Hulk, and I just ran with it. She's like, oh, you mean like Smug Hulk? And he was like, well, it was some funny shit, and then it was like, don't get lawyery on me. I thought that was one of the better written jokes in the first one. But either way, she got the name. She was they were just kind of dealing with her settling into the after effects. And as I was saying before, um, she, because of the sensationalism that her transforming mid trial caused, it caused a mistrial, and the defendants, I guess, won, and her firm, because she was a district attorney, she got fired. So then this one is dealing with her trying to find a new job. They show her they show her family's house. They kind of went. I don't know why. I know why, because
bro,
almost
we
every
can't hold up. See, this is why I wanted to go slow because we cannot even gloss past this part, bro. I knew the dad's voice before he even turned
yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. I
knew
was
that
gonna
was
go into
cousin
that,
Larry
man.
Appleton.
I was
Lynn.
gonna go into that shit,
That's what
man.
I'm saying.
Like,
You jumped up to it, so you already got to the family thing. So I knew that was Mark Lynn Baker. I was like,
yeah,
yo, cousin Larry Appleton
Cincinnati,
is the
yes.
dad.
Yeah,
I
he
was
been he
happy.
been eating lately. He was in the
Yes.
you ain't see the last season of The Boys. He was in that.
Nah,
He
he
been
been
in.
directing, but he been directing shit forever. So
Oh
I
no, that
already know
wasn't
he
him.
the
He
man.
was in he was I was thinking of somebody else, Paul Reiser, someone else.
Oh yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. You
family scene. They
Mark.
clown. They introduced Chet, that Bruce brought up as the other genius in the family, and then you reveal that this nigga is actually a fucking manager
Dummy.
at Best Buy. Like, that was pretty I got a chuckle out of that, and you're kind of dealing with her fallout again from the whole public reveal of She-Hulk and whatever. And then, the next thing that happens that moves the plot forward is she gets hired by the firm that she lost to, and she's gassed because they show her getting turned down by all these other firms and whatever. So she gets the job, but there's a catch that she has to remain She-Hulk on the premises and while she works, because they hire her to head up the superhuman law part. So it's like they
Makes sense
give
to
you
me.
that,
I don't know, but that makes sense to
huh?
me. I said
Of
that
course
makes
it
sense
makes
to me.
sense, but
It forbids the
it's
whole thing of just do what you don't want to do, which we
yeah,
have to
exactly.
code, which we
They
have to
giving the
code.
classic.
We
They
code
giving the
all the time
classic. They giving the classic struggle for the main character of having
to
to
code.
take a challenge that they wouldn't have wanted to or wouldn't have beforehand. And so then they give the perfect juxtaposition of, she don't want to be She-Hulk, she don't want to be a superhero, she don't want to be known, but you get a job where you fight specifically for superheroes as a superhero all the time. So then that sets up her meeting her first client, or no, getting her first case, which is defending Emil Blonsky. So that's a callback to the OG, the Ed Norton Hulk, because that
Mhm.
was the villain in that. And I thought that was a dope twist. I thought the way they flipped it on that was dope. They basically set it up so, she of course objects. You see it in the trailer. to the guy in the firm that like, hey, yo, he tried to kill my cousin. Dude's like, I don't give a fuck. You work for us now. You don't take this case, you don't get the job. And so she goes to meet him in the jail. Got some little jokes on her way to the cell or whatever, and then basically he kind of spins it. And what they always end up doing with Marvel is they do the combination of grounding it and then just giving an interesting twist. And it's like so Abomination, as you remember, if you've seen the Ed Norton Hulk, he wasn't like a bad guy. He was with the military. They shot him up with the super soldier serum because they thought that was going to give him, some scratch with Hulk. He kicked Son into a tree and turned his skeleton into powder, and then they juiced him up, and then he became the Abomination. So when he comes in through this, they flip it like, I'm a soldier. They told me I was going to be the next Captain America, but then they turned me into this. This shit ain't my fault. Blah, 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 blah. And you find out he's like rehabilitated and sending people haikus. That was a little goofy. But either way, they gave it an interesting like dynamic of like, okay, she was so against this at first, and then it wasn't so cut and dry because, he seemed to have reformed. And then they throw the extra on that with Bruce when she told him about it. She thought he was gonna be weird about it, and he was cool. But then I'm gonna let you take where that scene folded into, if you want to, or if you want to talk about something else.
Nah, I thought Tim Roth. I enjoyed him actually the most because he made the most out of what they gave him and
Yeah,
made it make sense. I enjoyed Tim Roth a lot, like what he did with the character.
always.
He made me as a Hulk fan like get with it. I was just trying to see what else I wrote. You know, yeah. I think that this show was going on. It's a couple other things I got in here. What else? About that. On budget. I'll save this stuff for me later.
I mean, why even bring
Yeah,
it up and talk about it, man? Just
I
talk.
enjoyed it.
I mean, we was
Because we
recapping
already
it.
kind of passed it in the conversation. That's why. So I don't want to,
So just bring it up. Like, we talking, man. Bring it
Well,
up.
all right. Well, was his dad was like him bringing up the Hawkeye question about the
Yeah,
arrows? Was that
yeah, that
like
was dope. I
was
like
that a
that.
little? But was that a little offensive?
How?
Why does he leave his arrows around everywhere? Not the second question was a follow up on the dangerousness of it. The first one was more like, how does he afford that? No, you didn't see that. You ain't see that joke.
I just thought it was like he was being like, what's that Yiddish kind of term?
Even the fact you just said Yiddish with saving money.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like
I thought it was more on some like, yo, ain't that wasteful? Ain't that trash? You know what I'm saying? I took it
that's what I'm
serious.
saying. Is that not
Yeah.
a kind of a? Was that not kind
But
of a?
I mean, look,
I was
we
just
can
throwing
find
it out
that
there.
in
Like I said, I got a
everything.
bunch of little stuff that I was picking up. That's what I said. Like I'll get into it and get off my chest later. But the show, I enjoyed it a lot. Still,
But
I
you don't
mean,
have
like
no
I
other
said,
commentary other than this shit that you think you can't talk to me about
yeah, I
on
mean,
this
they had my
when we
man Hulk
talked
on the
about it
on the
already.
ship. They had him on the ship, but they keep
Yeah,
playing him out.
that's what I mean, he all right, I don't know. I
They
don't know.
are they play him out, bro. Like they making him
So
as soft.
you ain't see what that was leading up to?
I do know what it's leading up to,
Okay, so
bro. I
what's the
want
point?
that,
It's
but
not
what
supposed
I'm
to be his show. Like it's not
okay
supposed
then.
to be his show.
All right, that's why I
You
said
can't preface it. You can't
that's why I
preface it
didn't
with
want to
how
get
much you
into
love
Hulk
the
because we talking
character,
about
how much
She-Hulk.
you gonna watch it anyway. You gonna like it
I
anyway, and then
just
as
said
soon
that
as you
50
see
times. I'm gonna watch the whole
anything,
shit anyway. I said I'm
so
gonna watch
I
it
don't
anyway.
even like this episode. We just talked about how the first episode definitely. I mean, they've been playing them out since Age of Ultron. We talked about how the first episode kind of played him out. This one, they just gave him that chunk right there. They cut it short. They gave him because they're making him like they're making him like a rom com dude. I do think they kind of played him on the well yeah he sent me a haiku with da 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 whatever, but then it set up some bigger better shit than that like shit man like if they gonna do World War Hulk that's the intro right there. How's that not the lead? You know what I'm saying?
That
Like
ain't they set that up in the last one with the
I
Saurian ship.
know, but
They
this was
set it up. They
directly.
set it up in Ragnarok. They've been
I
setting this
know,
up.
but they could have. You know good and well after Ragnarok, they could have left that shit alone. They could have not did it. I mean, we of course knew they was kind of working up to that, but that was like the obvious. That was the boom. Like, yo, I'm on the Sicarian ship to Sakaar. Who knows what's gonna happen? But and if you follow the shit, they might be getting the Hulk rights back in 2023.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if we
I know they
finally do get a Hulk movie, it might be a World War Hulk. Like shit. I'm not like, oh my god, it's the best shit ever. But I'm like, if I take anything away from that scene, it's that. It's not the other shit. Like, yeah, okay, they've been shitting on Hulk for a minute. We don't know he's not going. They
Yeah,
not going to shit on him in
that's
the
why I'm
World War
feeling
Hulk,
that way because they've
but
been
we gonna
shitting
watch him
on me
anyway.
and the Hulk for a minute. I'm gonna still watch it. I already agree. I'm gonna watch it, but because after you get shit on so much, you don't get but so excited when somebody gonna do something. It's like,
I
all right,
mean, I
I'm
wasn't even
taking what they're
excited.
giving me right now, and
I
all I
wasn't
want is
even
a
super
good
excited
She-Hulk.
as much as I was like, hey, if you want to take anything away from that particular scene, it's the fact that they're obviously and blatantly setting up. And that was one of the things in my commentary that I was going to mention that I liked a lot about this episode, that it's doing more substantial things early on, whereas some of the other series kind of like gave you this tease to something more that was going to come, and they would like sideways introduce some bigger thing in the MCU thread, but overall, the first couple series they just started where they ended up where they started. When this one, they're like, okay, we moving some shit significantly in this, even in this one episode. Then they did the shout out to Shang-Chi because when he broke out of, I mean, so what happened between the Bruce shit? Oh, it was like the next day. She went to
Mhm.
see dude. She talked to Bruce, and then the next thing I remember, it might correct me if I'm wrong. Something came between that. Um, she hears that he broke out like
No, no,
immediately.
no. He didn't break out. He was in trouble for doing what he did in Shang-Chi. They wondering how did he get out to do that. That's what
But
he
they
was in
was.
trouble for.
I thought the
He
news.
still
I thought the news report was like reporting that he broke out,
no,
and
it was
then that's where
reported.
they saw him.
No,
I gotta rewatch it. I don't
he had
know.
already did that. They like, how did you get out? And now you back in. Like, so you just
Mm,
leave when you want?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
That ain't
mean,
the thing.
of course that's not. Of course that's not touching on Wong and the fucking portals and
Yeah,
shit. But
that's
that's why I
that's
fucks
why he
with.
was in trouble.
All right, so look, is that how what else happens after that other than the end credit scene?
No, once the end credit with her carrying in the water, that was pretty much the end of that episode.
Okay, so what was the like the drawn out shit was basically the shit with Abomination, whatever.
Yeah,
So
that was the longest scene in the movie in the show. Yeah.
there was another couple pieces that I saw that people pointed out online. That was another factor that was in the show. So there was some scene where they were scrolling through a website
Uh huh.
and somebody caught this shit, froze it, posted it on Twitter, and they're talking about
I know what
one
you're
of the
talking about.
headlines is about the statue from Eternals, and then the
Mm-hmm.
other one is Man with Claws has a bar fight. So now they like, in this one episode, they're establishing, several things that are going to come down the line, and like, with the MCU shit, along with whatever else in formulaic about it you enjoy, they finally setting up some bigger shit that's going to be, substantial to the narrative. So,
Well, I hope so because the Eternal thing already happened, so
yeah,
that's not something that can be taken away. But
right,
the
right,
man
right,
with the
right.
claw thing could be anything, but we just put it on that it's Wolverine. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Could
either
be
way,
anything
it's
in the
vague enough.
Marvel
It's vague
universe.
enough. It's vague enough, but it's enough hope. You know what I'm saying? That's how
Yeah,
I feel about
but
it.
cool.
So
Could be anything in the Marvel universe. Man with claws in a bar fight. That could be anything in Marvel
I
to
mean,
you.
the way they've been playing this out lately, yo, bro. I'm not giving
I
them
mean,
enough.
we know they doing the
They want to
Wolverine.
tell
We
us
know
that.
they
They
doing
want us
the
to
X
think
Men.
that. But come on, y'all ain't even got no. Yeah, y'all showed us Professor X, but that's it. That's
No,
it.
it's not. No, it's not.
Who
They
else we
they
saw?
established mutants. They established mutants in Miss
No, but what
Marvel.
I'm saying is, what other X-Men did they show us than Professor
They
X?
didn't show no other X Men, but they
That's what I'm saying.
established mutants in Miss Marvel. They showed Professor X in what's the name. I mean, they just starting to open it up. We knew they wasn't coming in phase 4, but we've already gotten filmed confirmation that they are
Just
they're
Professor X.
ingratiating. Not just Professor X at
He's the
the end
only
of
mutant.
no, he's not. That's what I'm saying. You ain't see Miss Marvel, bro.
Miss
At the
Marvel's not a
very end.
mutant. She's an
Yes.
inhuman, bro.
Just
What
say
you
you
trying
ain't
not to?
watched the show,
You trying not to
man.
spoil
Like
it? No, because I know what
I'm
you're
not.
talking about, and I know that
I'm not trying not
I
to
don't care
spoil it.
about people getting spoiled on here. What I'm
I'm
saying
not
is that
trying not to spoil it.
all right.
I'm
So
telling you,
what you saying then?
it's flat out been stated that she's a mutant. At the end of the fucking what's the name, they flat out say she's a mutant. And they make her the first official MCU mutant in Miss Marvel. It's been a big story since that shit ended. That was the very last scene in the last episode. So that's what I'm saying. Like they're slowly building on it, even though it's whatever breadcrumbs, it's there. So like shit, we just did a whole MCU fan cast episode. So like, why wouldn't I thought you peep out something like that and be like, oh, all right, word, they getting serious
I
about it.
hope that the dude in the bar fight with the claws will be Wolverine, even though
Come
it was
on,
just on a
man.
pause screen. That'll be fire. All I'm saying is they fuck up our shit all the time, saying where they.
Of course, we know that, but we still,
So
like you
excuse my
said, we
language
still
again.
gonna
I keep
watch it.
cursing, but what I'm saying is, check this out. To the episode because we getting off of She-Hulk.
We
To
not
the
finna.
episode, I would give it. I'll give this the same thing I gave the first one, 7 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, they being consistent. I'm not disliking anything really. I'm just noticing, you know what I'm saying, what
Yeah,
the
I know.
messaging is, and I'm just taking it in as it's coming. But like I said, on top of that, they get an extra 3 points from me because it's the Hulk, period. And that's just what I'm on.
I mean, if I
Okay?
gotta grade it, I probably get a last one like a 6.5, 6.75. This one I definitely bump up to like a 7.7.5. I thought it was funnier. I thought it was a lot more integral to the larger MCU plot. Because the thing about these shows and the movies at this point is if you're invested in a larger narrative, you want these to be substantial to everything else that's going on. Unfortunately, because I'm greedy, like whatever, man. But in the comics, the source material, it was like that. They were all interconnected. They were always editor's notes saying, if you missed what this reference is, go back and read, edition this or that or whatever. So it's
True.
cool that they're lacing this together with this big ass tapestry finally, instead of just kind of just
And can
throwing
I
shit
say
out
this
there.
one thing too about the
Yeah.
comedy? Like 2 episodes, bro. I've only laughed once.
Yeah. That was about to be
I
my
don't even
last
know if I don't
goddamn
should be
quote.
like,
That was about to be the last
it
thing I
ain't
said
really
because I was giving
funny.
it the props. But yeah, that's still my bigger complaint about everything. It's pitched as a comedy, and while it's enjoyable and entertaining, it's not. The jokes ain't hitting like that. And this one, I laughed more than I laughed in the first episode. But still, if we got 2 episodes of a comedy and I've laughed about the equivalent of a few minutes in both combined, you know, it's quirky, it's interesting, it's lighthearted, but I'm not finding it funny like that yet. And that's not some whatever shit. Not that I don't get the humor. I get the humor. It's just kind of flat, and I don't know what exactly is making it that.
I'll
I
say that's
chuckle.
a good word for it right there because I'm
Yeah,
not laughing at all because the humor is flat and it feels like it don't even feel like it's not it's meant to be ha 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 funny like so
yeah.
that's why I don't feel bad about not laughing. It's just like
Yeah.
mm,
I don't
like
feel bad about not laughing because like I said, I'm still entertained. I'm just like, my problem with shit like that. It's the same thing with Jordan Peele getting pitched as a horror movie, and I'm like not scared at all. And I don't be usually scared with horror movies, but I could watch one and see what's the frightening element that they're pushing, and it's either good or it's bad to me. But like when I'm watching a comedy, I love comedy, and I don't have no bias against the woman driven humor, the empowerment angle, and none of it. But I'm just like it's not hitting like on that funny shit. Like the
because they
one of the biggest complaints about Marvel is they're over quippy and they rely too heavily on
but
comedy.
a quip
So
comes at at an interval and at a time, whether it's funny or not. You can't just keep trying to make jokes just to make jokes or think that people are going to think something is funny because they know you're the Hulk. No, that don't make shit funny.
Yeah, again, it's only a knock in that it's not bad, but I'm just like, if it's a comedy, I want to laugh more, and I just haven't. But I do. I still enjoy it. I still think it's a decent show.
No,
I
of
still think the Maslany is murking it. I still
course.
think is looking good, and there's a lot of dope threads that are being opened up. I just feel like on that one aspect majorly and a little bit on the CGI, but mostly just the humor. I want to laugh more. I
Yo,
remember,
but this is too about one more thing about the humor too. Like it feels more like regular conversation. You know what I'm saying?
but we can
Like
have that kind of
no, no,
comedy
no.
and
I
it be
mean, me and
funny.
you have
You
a
know what I'm
regular
saying?
conversation. We might end up dying and cracking up, but
Yeah,
it feels like just like the regular joke that you'll say while you sit in the car with somebody while they looking out the
right.
side of the window and you changing the radio station. It's just like not even like we're not trying to be funny. We just like saying, "Oh yeah," and then he probably just tripped. It's like
Yeah,
we're not trying to be funny. We not
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like mad regular conversation. It's like, yo, if it's funny to you, then it's not. She's like, I don't want to be She-Hulk. Yo, I thought, and it was this is a weird point to me too. Her paralegal, uh what do you call it? Comfort pet
A
friend.
best friend.
Yeah, her is starting. I'm starting to like her because
I
she's
liked her
starting
from the
to
beginning.
hell no. She's starting to make more sense now as it goes on because now she like, look, now you being stupid because not only did I already think you was the ish, now you got superpowers, everybody like you, and you still acting like a
I mean,
so
she was the one that told her to change in the first place because she was trying to preserve a suit in the first episode. She been cool from episode one. That's her support system. That's her little cheerleader and shit. You know what I'm saying? And like it's of course it. I kind of like how. No, I don't like it. I dislike it, but I understand what they trying to portray because in the level where of law firm where Jen was, they probably would only let a woman of color be her fucking paralegal unless she had 18 law degrees. So it's like it's a gift and a curse. But I think the actress that plays her is probably the funniest person that's been on the show, even though I haven't laughed much. You know what I'm saying? It's just like if I gotta give it to whoever got the best line readings or whatever, or is actually in the comic element of the like Mark Ruffalo ain't funny.
no, I gotta give it. I'm gonna give it to Tatiana. I gotta give it to
I mean,
her.
she look, she got it, but you know what?
Her.
I seen her in Orphan Black, and I think I see the dramatic side of her more so than the comedic side. And that's not to say she's whack. She's killing it. I just haven't laughed at her like that in this.
Cause
But
it ain't
I
funny.
laughed at the family scene. I
Yo,
laughed.
you know what? Check this out. They marketed this as a comedy, but the shit is just as humorous as every other Marvel TV. Like I would say
I would agree. That's what I'm saying.
Moon Knight was funnier than this.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I just said. The whole Marvel calling card and complaint is that it's almost always funny. Moon Knight was funny. No Way Home. That shit was funny. You know what
Hawkeye
I'm
was kind
saying?
of funny. Hawkeye was kind of funny.
Hawkeye was funny. I like Hawkeye was the shit. It was parts of Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel was more cutesy, but it was funny in parts. Uh, they got the good comic rapport in Falcon and Winter Soldier. They had Catherine Hahn and old girl from 70s show on WandaVision. Like they have broad, open, and blatant attempts at humor in almost everything they do.
But
And it's become their
they slot
trademark.
that humor in. They slot it in.
I know, but they're trying to do that with this and it ain't hitting. That's what I'm saying. It's not the same. That's what's weird to me because this is the show that's been pitched the hardest as a comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like of
They,
all of
they
them. Like
just
even why.
think they just pitched it like that, and they really didn't mean it. Because check this out, me and you have written stuff before, comedic stuff, dramatic stuff. We know, like, yo, even if we write in a comedy, if ain't nobody laugh in 2 minutes, if we didn't at least attempt something whimsical in 2 minutes of dialogue, we doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and in this, it was not structured like that at all. And when they threw out the jokes, like, I'm bugging because like people were like upset about the whole Steve Rogers virginity joke. I'm like, why? Like,
Wow.
you don't in real life, you don't think people would be wondering if somebody so American and pure was a virgin?
Well, even more so than that, yo, the best part about it was she broke that shit down on logic. She was like, that nigga was scrawny as hell. Then he got the serum. Then he was in war for like 90 years. And then he went to sleep for 70 of those. He was too busy.
And she was really just trolling him for an answer.
Right.
Which she got at the end.
Right, because she was given too much of a convincing argument that he was a virgin. and Hulk had to stand up for his man. He was like,
yeah, like, nah, man.
You got some ass, chill.
Chill. He had a couple cheeks. Chill.
Right. He had some ass, chill. He went back in time to get ass for the rest of his life. Like, cool out.
Damn.
That shit was funny,
but
man.
People get mad at those jokes because they like, oh, she went off on this tangent and that tangent. I'm like, man, you focusing on the wrong thing. Like, that's actually where the humor should have been, I think. Actually,
look,
because look, we're in the boys era right now. They gotta stretch that balloon, like they gotta
see that I don't agree, because you got shows like The Boys that take it so far that you don't. If you got a show that's opposite of that, you don't have to do that. But I think
about going far. I'm not saying
right. This is my
point. Within universe, the characters is gonna wonder about each other.
This is my point right here. When I read the She-Hulk books when I was a kid, not all of them. That wasn't one of my favorite characters, but on the times when I did, I usually laughed about as much as when I read a Deadpool comic. And the comic sensibility in Deadpool transferred perfect. Like, they got somebody that understood the character, and they understood that some of it,
the characters around them.
You know what I think it is about She-Hulk? I think it's a little more mature, focused. So it's not, because a lot of her jokes was kind of like, sophomoric. You know what I'm saying?
But then not only that, she thick.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of that shit was like snarky and kind of like sexual. So I think maybe they try to take some of that shit out of it. But even still, you can still replace that. Woman. We was talking about the other day 30 Rock. Like, 30 Rock is problematic as fuck, but it's a female driven and created comedy, and it's fucking funny in a lot of those places. Even when 30 Rock is one of them shows where they are openly and blatantly kind of being offensive, but it's still kind of funny. And that's like from the era before there was, quote unquote cancel culture. Like, I could watch that shit now and be like, man, that's problematic as fuck, but I'm still laughing. Like,
but then also, you know, everybody gonna get it at one point or another.
Yeah, exactly.
One person gonna get it. Like, everybody gonna get it.
It's by scene. When they clown somebody black, they clown somebody gay, they clown a woman, they clown this.
Yeah, you like, oh, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Oh yeah, it's equal opportunity. Yeah. But with this, it's like, it's like they almost playing it safe with the humor, maybe in hopes of not offending nobody. And it's and at the end of the day, the only real obvious, how in comedies you have like the protagonist and the obvious foils and whatever. The only person they've set up as somebody who could like openly be ridiculed and joked on or whatever is the white lawyer. And basically, even they don't even make that funny as much as they just keep making him look like a dickhead and expect that to be the joke. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, he's a dickhead, but he's just a dickhead. Like, I'm not. He's not
and I'm glad you brought him up, because in this episode, he's still a dick. And he was like talking to her, and then he said, oh, I see these girls over there. I'm going to go over there and talk to them, right? If they would have put all the lines he had in this one, which is not a lot, and in that first episode, that now he's a character. You know what I'm saying? It took them It took them 4 or 5 lines to make him a character that they
I
could have
mean,
gave him
he to
in that
me,
first one.
I think he's a caricature. I think he's an
He is a
archetype
caricature, but what I'm
of
saying is
of,
that
of the
it's
cocky. He's the caricature, the cocky white privileged exec. I mean, to me, I think they probably more lashing out against that kind of stereotype more than anything. But like, even with that, I'm not really laughing at it. You know what I
no
mean?
it
I'm like,
like I said, I don't think it's meant to be. I don't think the people who wrote these jokes to be ha ha funny. I don't
I
think
guess,
they
but
meant
that's
to
what the
just
fuck kind of funny is
no.
that?
Yo,
Like,
I don't know, my nigga. They ain't want to get no belly laughs. They just wanted to point out what
they
they wanted to point out.
oh, you don't even watch Brooklyn Nine. They
Yeah,
wanna
but
make
look,
you
all right, now
no
look.
no no hold on
Now
the
imagine if they
reference.
would have did it like that.
No, but
If they would have did this like that.
wait for the reference. What I'm saying is there's this running joke with the main character Holt. I mean not the main character, but the Andre Brower character, where that
Right.
nigga's so uptight and stiff that when
Yeah.
he thinks a joke is funny, that nigga just says that's hilarious. Like
Yes.
that's how
Yeah.
that's how I feel like with these jokes and shit. Like I'm not supposed to laugh. I'm just supposed to note that that's supposed to be humorous, and that's it. And that's not funny to me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's funny when it's done in jest in a fucking fictional show. Like when that nigga just says deadpans, that is hilarious. That's hilarious because
It
it's
is.
played for laughs.
Shout
But
out
in
Andre
this,
Brower,
it's
OG
like right. Shout out
legend.
for real. Shout out for real. Because he bodies that
Yo,
show. That's one of the
everything.
joints. We should do a little dive on that one day because that's one of
Everything.
my shit. But either way, it's just that example of how you could take something deadpan and in anything else that wouldn't be funny. Like if somebody did that to you in real life, if you told a funny ass joke and the nigga looked at you and said that is hilarious, they might take the whole shit out of it. But when you watching a show where the premise is I'm supposed to be laughing at this, and even they're winking at the camera literally and trying to make you laugh, and I just don't really feel the laugh. I it's hard for me to give it that accolade, but I don't even want to go so far onto that because I don't think it takes away from the overall enjoyment of the show. Again, I really do enjoy it. I think it's good. I think it's going to get better as it goes on.
Definitely. It can't not get better. I don't think it can't not get better.
But you know what? I was hearing a lot of shit about it before it came out. You know, they were saying it's a mess and da da da. But like, I'm actually
It can't
pretty
get worse than
grateful.
this. Mm-mm.
I'm pretty grateful that it's as enjoyable as it's been because the thing about Marvel and all of the comic book movies, mostly the whole genre, I could take a lot of shit, but if it's not fucking enjoyable, I have a problem. That's the biggest problem I have, more than anything. So I like we was even talking about the Bonner Hulk earlier. I can't bash it as hard as everybody else does because there were parts of it that was entertaining, but overall that shit was just not. It was you said it was messy. That's perfect. You know what I'm saying? But this, it's not messy. It's just it's just not as funny as it's been billed, but it's well done. Is well performed. I'm definitely digging where the direction's going of the season. Like I said, I'll give it a 725, 750 if I gotta rate it. Um, and I think let's keep fucking with it. This series I think is garnering good conversation. Um,
It definitely is because,
yeah,
like, this is one of the things that I said about whether it's Hulk, She-Hulk. I think any Hulk character is gonna always touch on the psychology of
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is that people saying. So whether
yeah.
people write them the way you like, whether people do whatever they do with it, all Hulk characters are based on psychology. So it's just a metaphor for us to talk on in the first place, whether people know it or not. So yeah, definitely,
Yo,
I'm with it.
on that point, I really like, and I know you're gonna hate this shit, but I really actually like the one aspect, even though a little bit of it bothered me about how they just made her, the better, version of Hulk, even though he'd been doing it all this long and whatever, had all this scientific experience with it. I like how their explanation for her control is that as a woman, you spend this time being pretty fucking upset or fearful most of the time. I was like, damn, that's to me that's just well right. I think that was well written. I like that little aspect. But like you said, speaking to the psychology of it, that's what I like seeing too. Even if it's something that's not necessarily universally acceptable, it's just I
Right.
like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
dug
It's all about everybody's interpretation of whatever
right.
it is. You know what I'm
I
saying?
dug the
That's one
always
of the
angry
reasons
line
why.
too.
That's one of the reasons why Bruce Banner's why he changes Hulk sometimes, because his
Yeah,
personality changes, his
yeah,
feelings
yeah.
change. He
Yep.
learns something different. He moves forward in his personality. So I don't think that it, like I said, I'm not trying to just relegate it to being like, oh, well, because the Hulk, for me, I've never, ever in the books or nothing ever picked up a male female component, like argument between male and female Hulks. Like this only happened like now
Well,
on
that's
TV
because men was writing that
because,
shit. You know, that's why
huh?
because men was writing that shit. I mean, you know, if you get women in there, they're gonna have they combating, you know, opinions, and it's gonna seem like that. But you know, it's hard to kind of judge it against that because there were no women writing at that time. Like when did women really start writing comic books majorly? You know, outside of like Gail Simone with Wonder Woman. You know, like I know the classic She-Hulk books wasn't written by women. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh,
it's
John Byrne wrote the She-Hulk, classic
yeah,
She-Hulk,
yeah,
and it was
yeah,
all
yeah,
empowerment, and it was fire,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. No, right.
women loved the way he wrote it, and no,
Of
and
course.
there was no division in the audience, because men respected the way that she was written, and women respected the way she's written. So when she's presented in this form on this platform, I don't think that is really that much of a difference whether the person who writing it is a woman. If she respects that she's writing and men are gonna watch it, and she respects that women are gonna watch it, if she respects both crowds, then we're gonna love it. I don't think it had nothing to do with it being a woman.
That's not. I don't. We don't have to get too far into it, but I
Yeah, that's
disagree
why
with
I didn't
that
even want to go back into that.
because that's just not that hasn't been it historically. But anyway, She-Hulk episode 2,
Yeah, episode 2. This is what it does.
No
This is what it
Country,
does. Shout out to Hulk. You already know.
MCU, Disney Plus. We gonna do all of these. Fuck it. I mean, if God wills.
If the shit don't get it too
It's only like
crazy
6 episodes, I think. I
and
don't even
too
think it's that many
as long
episodes.
as it don't get too disrespectful, bro, because I know, you know, Hulk is my favorite dude. Hulk and Deadpool, man. Like that's my hearts right there. Especially Hulk is my heart, man. And
Look,
if they
man,
go
you
too
can't.
far,
You,
I'm telling you,
my favorite hero is Batman, and 1A is Spider Man, and they didn't disrespect it. You sat here and tried to tell me Batman versus Superman was a good movie.
I
So
didn't say that. I didn't say
you
it was a good movie.
you
Nope. What
you
I said. You want me to tell you what I said again? I said
what
I liked watching
same
Superman
difference.
beat Batman's ass. That don't make it a good
Nah,
movie.
you there was a
I
different
just like that
conversation.
scene.
I like that scene too, but I
All
also
right then.
hated the 3 hours of movie that it was
I
encased in.
said I ain't
I
never
still
watching the
think
rest of that
that's
shit
the
again.
best Batman action scene on film to
That
date.
got one of the worst
God
scenes.
damn.
Wonder Woman sneaks in to a party behind Batman. Look, it's so many problems in that movie, bro. Like I said, all
Everything.
I cared
That
about
movie is a
was
problem.
all all I cared about was Batman whooping up on Superman. And I
Yo, that
love
was
both
my
of them.
shit.
I
Come
love
on, you
both
know
of
that.
them.
You
But the
know,
thing
see,
is,
you be saying
I
shit
love
like that,
both
like
of
that
them.
wasn't my shit.
No. But the thing is, you know, what did you hear for the whole year up until that movie got released? How Superman gonna beat Batman? How
I
Superman gonna be?
know.
And I
It's
felt so
niggas are
good being like,
stupid.
that
That
that right
exactly.
there
Yep. Yep.
is how
No,
Superman
I
will beat
definitely
Batman.
I definitely think I saw. I definitely think I said that out loud in the theater. Now, mind you, I was in Texas when that movie came out, and I would hear, you know, white people are talking about that shit all the time because you know Superman is their, you know, their Aryan
Uberman,
Jesus and shit, and they were
Uberman.
like, I just don't understand. I was like, somebody wrote about that shit 40 years
Did you
ago, and
ask him?
almost every
Did y'all see him shoot him in the mouth with a kryptonite shotgun? No, dead in the mouth. Like it went dead all up in his face.
nigga
That was
had kryptonite.
after.
He had
That was,
kryptonite shards. Yo, he had kryptonite shards in the beat pieces. Like, come
bro.
on, son.
He
You
weak in
know
them
who we
fight.
dealing with.
Superman got his strength back and he took it away from him
Again.
again. That's why I was
Again.
like, thank you. Thank you.
Right.
This is for human beings. If you ain't on team human being, forget you. Because you saying we can't whoop aliens. No. This is team human. I'm
Hold up.
with you.
Every alien movie is about the whole alien movie genre is about human beings whooping aliens motherfucking ass. Come on
Bro,
now.
did this man not do it with ninjutsu and tech? And I'm like,
and,
yo,
and
and
he was
anybody,
cheating outright, and
bro,
that
I
he
don't hear
got
nobody
to.
asking no more. I don't hear nobody asking that question no more. I ain't heard nobody
I
ask that
did. I
question.
heard people say that
So,
shit. I just
I,
still don't know.
I heard them
I'm
say
like,
it,
you
but they
seen
don't
the
mean it.
movie,
I heard them say it, but they don't mean it.
right? Right,
Like,
right.
you
Because that's what I'm
know,
saying. They made
you
it make
know.
sense. They made the shit make sense, even though people like us knew already. Yeah, that's exactly how Batman fucked
Oh, yeah,
Superman up.
yeah,
Exactly. But the
all
rest of that
day.
movie was cheats. Oh my
All
god.
day. Nah, yeah. And that's why I could put, like I said, I could put all that shit in compartmentalize. I could put all that shit in the garbage because I don't even remember nothing else. Like, look, you think I want to remember Superman picking up a kryptonite spear and instead of throwing it or Wonder Woman doing it, he flew it into the brand new monster y'all never seen before.
The
Look,
Doodle Monster.
I'm not even look. All right, we all right. Let's get back to we on DC now. We supposed to be getting on Marvel
Marvel,
right now. Yeah.
She-Hulk, 2 episodes better than that whole movie.
So
See
y'all
y'all
already know
next
this.
week.
Check out She-Hulk. We on it. We catch y'all next week. Y'all already know it is No Country. Dave and JD. Peace.